Hello guys, Mike Patrick with a very pertinent video here that is going to be in relation to the video that I just did below this one, maybe within the last couple videos, about how words are spells, negative word spells. So this is going to be a really good video for helping us, change and evolve into a better version of ourselves and possibly help us exist here a little bit better, okay, under better conditions, okay, and trying to change and control the things that we can change and control in order to make our existence collectively a better existence, okay? Because some things we have no control over, and I'll get into that a little bit, okay? And it's all in relation to negativity, okay? And negative words and negative word spells and spelling other people and yourself, okay? With negative talk in general, okay? But we have to be made aware of things first, okay? So, in the word spell video, I talked about how negative talk in general are spells. I talked about how gossip is spells, okay? So the way I look at it is negative talk doesn't necessarily have to be considered gossip, okay? What I kind of been taught and just my natural way of perceiving and thinking of gossip is more so when people are talking negative about somebody else or are talking about somebody else in some kind of manner that is perceived to be negative, okay? But the fact is, everybody that is a negative talker is not necessarily a gossiper, okay? Sometimes we just are negative talkers, okay? Negative thinkers and negative talkers. And we are addicted to negativity in general, humanity, okay? And that's pretty much not our fault, okay? That's just the world that if you hear now, that's the world that you find yourself in. And so it's real easy to just be of what appears to be typical and normal, okay? Until these things are pointed out and we can work on them and try to change them. All right. So, guys, what you have to realize about negative talk in general is you still are spelling yourself with the negative talk and negative information, okay? So even if you're not necessarily spelling something that's negative, like saying, the example I used in the last video is somebody telling their child, make sure you be careful before you go across that street before you get hit by a car. Okay, so the spell is insinuating that they'll get hit by a car. Okay, you could have said anything, but you could have just said, look both ways before you cross the street so you can be aware of your surroundings, as opposed to spelling before you get hit by a car and putting that out there. Okay, now that's just negative talk in general. See, that's a negative, possibly unintentional spell right there, though. Okay? Now, what we don't realize, like when we gossip or we are entertained or we're talking about something that is a negative situation, because like I said, it's not always gossip in the sense of somebody saying something negative about somebody. Sometimes we are just entertained by negativity and we engage in conversation that pertains to that negativity, right? So, for example, I'll use the Lil Durk. If some of you guys are into rap and stuff, you all know that Lil Durk just got into a big jam okay? And for example, some of us may choose to talk about that situation. You see what I mean? It doesn't mean that you're gossiping. It doesn't mean that you're saying anything bad about Little Dirk. You see what I'm saying? But now, or some could, but at the same time, it's a negative situation altogether. Make sense? It's a negative situation altogether, and it's a low vibrational situation altogether. So even in giving your energy to something like that, to talk about it, to discuss it, and things like that, is possibly, look at it this way, is possibly bringing negativity into your life. So we don't look at things like this. And a lot of stuff we think it's just random occurrences and things like that. We don't realize a lot of times how we just keep ourselves in a low vibrational state and in a low frequency by the things that we entertain ourselves with, okay? And then that's what we get to talking about and stuff like that. And then we don't realize, we think that because it's somebody else's situation, or we are speaking of somebody else's situation and speaking of somebody else, even if it's a negative situation, and if it's a negative situation, we think that we don't necessarily look at it as like, possibly by entertaining this negative situation altogether, I can be setting myself up or making it more likely that negativity comes into my life. Okay? So when you look at it that way, you'll start to realize, like, maybe I don't want to entertain anything negative as much as possible. Obviously, you can't completely avoid it yet, okay? That's why things like this have to be brought to attention, because eventually the world will change for the better in regards to things like this, okay? But this is the first step. So what'll happen is, once you realize that, you'll stop wanting to be entertained by negativity, okay? So it doesn't mean that you're a gossiper. It doesn't mean that you are talking about somebody necessarily in a negative manner all the time. Sometimes we are just entertained too much by just negative things altogether. And it's something, imagine everything to have a frequency and a vibration, okay? You wouldn't want us to sit, let's say it was a box, okay? You had two boxes. One box is considered to be positive vibration, that is going to give off positive energy, okay, and help manifest positivity. And then one box is a negative box, okay, and it's going to give off the frequency and the vibrations of negativity, okay, and manifest those things of that nature, okay? So what has happened is, many of us, including myself, have become addicted to negativity, okay? And I'm no longer addicted to negativity, but I am in a rehab phase, okay? Now, this is the thing. I still look at things that are considered to be negative or analyzed, but this is the thing. I have a different outlook now, and I do things for different reasons now. So for a while now, I have understood how entertaining anything negative could possibly bring unwanted negativity into my life. But as one of my jobs, I put a certain shield over myself and realize I look at things from a different perspective. So when I'm looking at things that may be negative, i.e. some news, you know what I mean? It could be news on TV, or it could be just some kind of update, some kind of news in the entertainment world, all those types of things. But I'm looking at it for a different reason. I'm not just trying to be entertained by quote unquote negativity. From my view and my perspective, and part of what I'm supposed to do, part of my job literally is to have to stay updated on certain things so I can read into things a certain way. It's not just necessarily to be entertained by negativity. Though some of it, as I'm, getting better, still I find myself just being entertained by it. You know what I mean? But mostly at this point, I'm looking into things differently. So if I look at the Lil Durk situation, it's not just because I just think it's juicy and it's like, oh man, dang, you know what I mean, or whatever. It's more so I look at things differently and I read into things differently and I get different information and intel from things that a lot of people might just look at as just, just something to be entertained by. You see what I'm saying? So I have to look at things for different reasons. So it's so I have to stay updated. So I'm still have to peek my nose or peek my head into to certain things to pull what I need to pull from it, but then I get out of it. You see what I'm saying? I get what I need from it, then I get out of it. I'm just not being wrapped up in it just for the sake of entertainment, unless it's something positive. And what happens is we get addicted to negativity and we're not entertained by anything positive. I know because I've been there. I'm there where I find myself bored because I don't want to get overstimulated and possibly bring negative things into my life by being too entertained and engulfed in negativity. But at least that kind of holds my attention and kind of has me like, huh? You see what I'm saying? And then positive things kind of usually I kind of seem kind of mostly people would probably look at it as corny, boring. You see what I'm saying? For some reason, I ain't gonna say for some reason, we know why. You see what I'm saying? We know why we are like this because it's a lot of us is just the way that society has raised us, that for some reason, and perhaps it is something in the human, that for some reason negativity is just more entertaining to us. And then positive stuff and learning about positive stuff and things like that is just boring. Okay? So we have to shift our frequency because we've been bombarded with so much negativity. A lot of times, how you can judge your frequency or how you can gauge your frequency and your vibration and where you may be at that particular point in time in your life is ask yourself, what entertains me? What do I enjoy? And when it is something negative, when it is always negative information, negative things, music, movies, all those types of things, anything, talk, you know what I mean? You have to ask yourself, what frequency am I on when this is what's a match for me? You see what I'm saying? So what you want to do is have to start shifting ourselves in a manner that just as entertained as we are by negativity, we become and we start coming around to being just as entertained and engulfed in positive things. You see what I'm saying? Now, for those out there who may say, and I realize this myself. See, I'm always realizing myself too, even along the lines of myself. And that's how we always, no matter where we at, we're always getting better. See, it's realizations that I'll have today that I didn't have 5 months ago. And it'll be realizations 5 months from now if I'm doing the things that I need to do that I don't have today. You see what I'm saying? And what I realize is early on in me doing videos, I was pointing out a lot of things that could be considered to be negative and negative talk. But the thing is, at the time, it wasn't my intention to speak about negative things that was occurring. I more so had the mentality and mindset that I was making an effort to help people change, and observing and realizing the things that bring us down, you know what I mean, physically and stuff like that, you know what I mean, and trying to show people like, okay, this is happening, this is what happens, you see what I'm saying, this is what is happening, this is why, you know what I mean, we may feel this way, we may do this may happen to us, all those types of things, okay? But what I come to realize now is that those things were necessary at those times for me, and there'll still be somebody that does it, okay? But it's no longer something that I want to do, because I feel like I made people aware enough of certain things. Now I'm not going to harp on it, and I never have harped on it. Like I made videos on certain topics and said certain things, but you never see me harp on anything. Is I don't make it my genre, so to speak, or my spot in communication. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how on YouTube and things if you want to build an audience, you kind of got to talk about the same thing and be in the same space. You see what I'm saying? So you can be identified. So the algorithm, I guess, possibly can identify you as a certain thing, and then whoever is drawn to that, you know, the traffic will come through your you know what I mean, the niche of your content. Okay? But another thing I will say is it was part of my job, and is part of my job, and was part of my job to make humanity aware of certain things that they might have not been aware of, that they have that probably we have no control over. So it's certain things. So that's the difference, okay? It's a difference in speaking about things that are considered to be negative, that can have some bad outcomes, and you realizing that to a certain degree you have levels of control over that. And then it's another thing to make, if it's your job to make people aware of certain things that could have negative outcomes, but they have no control over it. So therefore, making you aware of it. I know somebody will say, well, we have no control of it. Why make us aware of it? But this is the thing. It is meant for some of you to be aware of certain things, because we still do have choices. Some of us have choices. Okay? So we all have choices to a certain degree. But what I'm saying is, some of you guys have a choice on a certain level, on levels beyond what you may think I'm talking about. As they say, many are, I think they say, what's that saying? Many are chosen, but what is it? Dang, what is that saying? I think y'all know what the saying I'm trying to remember. It's something along the lines of like many are selected, but few are chosen. Something like, I don't know, something like that. But you know what I mean, to that degree. You guys know what I'm talking about, okay? And if not, just look at it that way. Look at it the way I just said. Many are selected to a certain degree, but few are actually chosen, okay? So some of you have been selected to be aware of certain things that are taking place, that have took place, and that are going to take place, right? But even with that said, those of you who have been selected to be aware of these things might not make the choices that still have the free will to make the choices to put yourself in position to make it through whatever that is. And so therefore that it is to be made through, okay? That which may be coming. It's almost like preppers and stuff like that, right? People will say that's negativity. Well, you guys are doomsday preppers, and you could say, telling people about all this bad stuff that is going to happen in the future, and this is why you should have this, do this, and do this, right? Is negative talk. You know what I mean? And the thing is, there's many people who feel like certain things are inevitable. And why not be aware of it and be prepared for it? Because perhaps you can be one of the ones that make it through it. Makes sense? And that's why people that are preppers are considered preppers. And that's why they prep the way that they prep, because they wholeheartedly believe certain things are coming and they want to be prepared to try to survive it, okay? And the thing is, that is on a much larger scale when you are informing people of things of that nature, because everybody kind of feels that way to some degree. Everybody may not agree with what it is and why it's going to happen, but everybody kind of agrees that it's going to happen. Many people that are religious, you know what I mean, believe it because they believe Christ is coming back, right? And they know certain things are going to take place as far as their beliefs, right? And they know that everybody is not, if you believe in the way everything is prophesied to happen, you know that everybody can't make it through it. You see what I'm saying? And so some people understand that there's going to be what, unfortunately, some negative, unfortunate things that are going to happen. You see what I mean? So, and they understand that based off of their beliefs, okay? So the point is, you can't avoid, speaking what appears to be negativity all the time, but you can minimize it, okay? So that's because you don't want to bring too much negativity into your life. You know what I mean? Because perhaps we all are going to be faced with some kind of challenges from time to time. You don't want to make it, you know what I mean, even worse by just being a person that is keeping yourself in a negative frequency. That's why a lot of you that come around, a lot of times it's unintentional. A lot of you guys who come around to realizing some of the stuff that I'm talking about right now, a lot of you guys started off in stuff like conspiracy. So it's all relative. You know what I mean? It seems negative, and it seems like you taking in a bunch of negativity and stuff like that, and you're entertained by it and all those types of things until you realize the spiritual aspect of it. If you are meant to continue to progress and not get stuck there, you'll realize how a lot of it has to do with your attention, and you know what I mean, and things like that. But perhaps there is things that humanity has no control over. Some of us are meant to be made aware of it in order to not only inform ourselves, but inform other people, so we can try to be in the best position possible when certain inevitable things happen. So it's a difference in that and then just being engulfed in negativity all the time and possibly bringing more negativity into our lives by entertaining negative entertainment, whether it's talk, TV, you know what I mean, anything, music, all those types of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still listen to what is considered to be negative music, but even with that, I hear it differently now, and I get different. I can get different things from it. Okay, but I limit that. You see what I'm saying? I get in there, I get what I need, whatever. Same thing with TV, the news. I get what I need. You know what I mean? Same thing with anything that may be on the internet that, a lot of people may be considered, the T or something like that. Oh, this person just got locked up, or this person, or, anything like that. I try to limit, what I mean, my engulfment in those types of things. So consider what I'm saying. And another thing is, the reason I had to explain it this way is because now this may be more encouraging for some of you to come out of the negativity that you are naturally addicted to, when you realize that it has an effect on you and your life, and perhaps it's bringing your life down, you know what I mean, or making your life not as good as it could be. Because sometimes we get addicted to, we get used to, we can get, I guess you could say, we can get adapted or used to anything. Some people, you know what I'm saying? And so what happens is we can get used to the negativity and then not realizing that the reason why your life, you just may say, well, my life just is the way it is, and you might not associate your addiction to negativity as playing a part of why your life might not be what you think, you know what I mean, what you might have thought it was supposed to be, and then you just get used to, your life or whatever, and then you just thinking this is just your lifestyle, and this is life for you. But a lot of times that's why perhaps certain demographics as a whole you could say are in the situation that they are in, because the level of negativity in general that we are addicted to, you know what I mean? And so trying to clean up that stuff to try to help, and then we'll just say, well, we are in this situation as a collective because of this and because of that. Like I said, and there is different reasons that certain, groups of people, that don't necessarily have anything to do with, some of the stuff I'm talking about now, that kind of holds you back or has held you back in the past and things like that. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is some stuff, we fight against ourselves with, and things like that. So it's, and a lot of that stuff may not initially have been our fault, but, and that's why I said a lot of times the enemy has set stuff up a minute ago, right? And then now we just look at it as normal, and we just naturally fall into it and feed into it, and not realize how it's bringing us down and keeping us down. But once these things are you made aware of these things, and then if you do actually work on them and try to get better with them, then perhaps it may not be the only factor in changing things, but it can be a factor. You see what I'm saying? It can only help. You know what I mean? Then some of you may say, well, that's why anything that's an addiction, right? Everything that feels good is not good for you, right? So a lot of people, why I say you are addicted, and we are addicted or have been addicted to negativity, is because you would say to yourself, well, if it's negative, right, why would I be addicted to it if I'm addicted to negativity, Mike or Michael? Because there's plenty of things that you are addicted to. Oh, I ain't gonna say you, but there's plenty of things that people are addicted to that they know are not good. It's not good for them, but it just feels good. So some of us, and I know because I've been there, some of us have gotten to a point where it's a lot of stuff that now this is real psychological, where a lot of times what it is too, guys, is that people are crabs in the barrel, so to speak, right? Some people, are crabs in the barrel. So what happens is, in order for them to feel good about themselves, they have to try to minimize somebody else. And so the only how some people have such a low self-esteem that they have to talk negative about somebody else in order to make them feel better about themselves. You see what I mean? And so if you are perhaps from a situation or a demographic where you got a lot of people who have low self-esteem, whether outwardly or whether it's deeper rooted and people just don't even realize it about themselves. They may try to come across like they have a high self-esteem, but in reality, if they really did the work on themselves, they'll realize, well, perhaps I do have a low self-esteem. That crab in the barrel mentality, many of us have, been beat up or kicked or put down so much, and maybe even over the generations, as you can say, some groups of people as a people, to where sometimes the only thing that you want to do in life is to battle that feeling of insignificance, low self-esteem, things like that. You want to minimize other people, and perhaps it will make you feel like you're elevated yourself. Okay? We all have been there. A lot of people are there, but what I'm saying is, I know I've been there. I didn't realize it. You see what I'm saying? I didn't understand the psychology of it, but we all have been there, right? You know what I mean? If we have a low self-esteem, you'll notice how great people, they can have everything. They can have everything that people that's not so great could even respect and say, like, oh, they got it. You see what I'm saying? Or they would have to admit that. They might be jealous, but they would have to admit it. You know what I'm saying? That they got it. You know what I mean? You notice how if those people are great people, though, actually great people, despite what they may have, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, I had something pop up on my phone that kind of sidetracked me. But okay, despite what they have, though, right? They're great people. If you was able to go inside them and go into their psyche and go into their heart and things like that, you'll realize that they are not going to be the type of people that gets any gratification from trying to minimize other people. So though they may have more this, more that than another person, anything, whatever it may be that they may have that somebody else doesn't, they honestly, truly don't get any gratification from trying to make, trying to make other people feel bad about not having whatever it is that they have, or they just truly do not